What would you do if your parents disowned you for marrying the love of your life and then returned 3 years later with gifts, begging to be part of your baby's future? That's exactly what happened to me. And I didn't need their apology, I needed closure. You marry him, and you're cut off. That was the last thing my parents said to me before slamming the metaphorical door on our relationship. I'm Rachel, 28F. 3 years ago, I married Noah, 30M, the love of my life, and it cost me my entire family. At the time, it felt like I was choosing chaos. But looking back now? It was the most peaceful decision I've ever made. Let's rewind. Noah and I met at the office complex where I worked in HR. He was a forklift operator in the shipping warehouse next door. I noticed him during my lunch breaks, always polite, always smiling despite the long hours and physical labor. One day, I asked him to join me for coffee. That was the start of it all. My parents, Beth and Charles, own a massive property development company in Dallas. They're very old money, very status-driven. Think country clubs, golf on Wednesdays, and social circles where everyone knows each other's net worth. I never vibed with that world. But I was their firstborn, and for the longest time, they assumed I'd follow in their footsteps. Then I met Noah. Noah's dad was a retired custodian. His mom stayed home to raise 3 boys. They didn't have much, but they had warmth. Real warmth. His family welcomed me like I'd always belonged. No judgment, no questions about bank accounts or alma maters, just genuine care. When I introduced Noah to my parents, they were cordial at first. But that quickly faded when they found out he never went to college and didn't come from a respectable family. My dad asked him outright how he planned to provide for someone like Rachel. I was mortified. Over the next year, they tried everything: bribes, guilt trips, even setting me up with other men more suited for me. But none of it worked. Noah and I got engaged, and that's when they gave me the ultimatum: end it with him, or be cut off completely. They made a public announcement at a family gathering that they were removing me from the will and naming my younger sister, Claire, then 25, as their sole heir. Claire was the golden child. Ivy League degree, sharp suits, perfect LinkedIn profile. She was everything I wasn't. And while we used to be close as kids, by the time we were adults, she had fully bought into our parents' world. She didn't stand up for me. She even echoed their concerns, calling Noah a risk. So I walked away. No trust fund. No inheritance. No family. Just Noah and me. We got married in a simple backyard ceremony. His parents cried. Mine didn't show. The first year was hard emotionally more than financially. We lived in a small 2-bedroom rental. I stayed in HR, and Noah got promoted to shift supervisor at the warehouse. We budgeted, saved, built a little life. And we were happy. Really happy. But the story doesn't end there. Because now, 3 years later, I'm pregnant. And suddenly, the people who cut me off want back in. The reason? Claire can't have children. And apparently, I'm their last shot at grandkids. 3 years of silence. Then suddenly, my parents were on my doorstep with $40,000 worth of baby gifts and plastic smiles. They had heard from extended family that I was expecting. And now that Claire, my sister and their pride and joy, was unable to have children, I had magically become important again. Luke and I had talked about this exact scenario the night after Claire texted me. She told me Mom and Dad would probably show up soon. Not out of love. Not out of guilt. But out of desperation. Her words stung, but I could tell she wasn't reaching out for my sake. She was bitter, and I couldn't really blame her. So when the doorbell rang 3 days later and I saw my parents standing there, I was ready. They smiled like we hadn't gone 3 years without a single word. Mom threw her arms around me like it was Thanksgiving dinner. Dad, more reserved, said something along the lines of, "We're so happy for you." And then came the kicker: "We want to start over." They gestured toward the car. We brought gifts. I asked how they knew about the pregnancy. They dodged the question. I asked again, and they finally admitted that Claire had told them, indirectly. I could see how uncomfortable they were even saying her name. I stood in the doorway, arms crossed, not letting them in. I wasn't showing much yet, and I wore a hoodie that made it easy to hide. So I said, "Actually, I'm not pregnant." Their faces fell. Dad blinked. Mom's smile twitched. "You're not," she said, voice faltering. "No. And I know why you're here," I added. "Claire told me everything." Silence. I continued, "If you're only interested in me now because I might be carrying your grandchild, then you can turn around and go home. I'm not your second option. And I'm definitely not your backup plan." They tried to object, but I shut the door before they could continue. I felt amazing. Shaky, but amazing. My whole body was buzzing, not from fear or anger, but relief. It was like saying everything I'd held in for 3 years in one sharp breath. Later that evening, I got a message from my dad. It was long. Guilt-ridden. A strange mix of apology and deflection. He claimed they'd always regretted cutting me off. That they only did it because they were scared Luke would hurt me or take advantage of me. That they didn't know how to apologize because they thought I hated them. He even tried throwing Claire under the bus, saying her fiancé left her not because of infertility, but because of emotional instability. That made me furious. Because while I didn't forgive Claire for how she treated me, I would never blame her for being unable to have children. And the fact that our parents had now weaponized that against her? It confirmed everything I already knew about them. They don't love people. They love control. I showed the message to Luke. His response? "They only reached out because you're useful now." And he was right. What hurt the most was realizing that if I weren't pregnant, they'd still see me as disposable. Luke helped me draft a reply. It was short, simple, and honest. "I appreciate the apology. But I'm not ready to talk. Please respect that." I didn't hear back for a few days. And just when I thought they might finally leave us alone, they came back. It was a Sunday. Luke and I were having a slow morning, reading on the couch. The knock was sharp, urgent. I peeked out the window and groaned. "They're back," I whispered. Luke opened the door and stepped outside, trying to keep things calm. I stayed in the bedroom, thinking maybe they'd listen to reason if it came from him. But I could hear the voices rising. So I stepped out and told them to leave. And when they didn't, when they insisted I owed them a chance to explain, I lost it. "You disowned me," I said, voice shaking. "You cut me out like I meant nothing. Now you want a piece of this baby because Claire can't give you one? You want a relationship that's purely transactional? No. That's not family." My mom started crying. My dad said I was being cold. That I was stealing their right to be grandparents. That's when I said it. If you want to be good grandparents, maybe you should have tried being good parents first. And I shut the door again. This time, it felt heavier. Like I wasn't just shutting them out, I was sealing the past. You'd think slamming the door twice would be enough. But when people are used to controlling you, they don't hear no as a boundary. They hear it as a challenge. A week passed. No calls, no texts. I started to believe maybe they finally understood. Maybe they were going to respect my space and leave me alone. I could focus on the pregnancy, on Luke, on peace. Then came Sunday. Another knock. Luke checked through the peephole, turned to me, and said with a deep sigh, "It's them again." This time, I didn't wait in the bedroom. I walked straight to the door, opened it, and stood there silent. My dad looked me in the eye. "Rachel, please. Just let us talk." My mom, watery-eyed, added, "We raised you. We made mistakes, but we don't deserve to be shut out like this." That line nearly made me laugh. We raised you. As if being a parent was a job you clocked into once and earned lifelong access. "No," I said. "Not today. Not next week. Not until you understand what you've done." Dad's jaw tightened. "You're being unfair." We admitted we were wrong. And yet, I said, you keep showing up at my door demanding I fix your feelings. Luke gently stepped in. We've asked you to respect her space. Please don't make this worse. They didn't move. I felt the weight of it, the years of disappointment, of feeling like I wasn't enough unless I followed their script. All of that boiled up as I stood in my doorway, a hand on my belly, trying to protect more than just myself now. If you want forgiveness, I said slowly, you need to give me time. And space. If you can't even give me that, you don't deserve more. My mother started crying, louder this time. You're breaking our hearts, she said. Claire can't have children. And now you're taking this from us too? That was it. I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. Face to face with both of them, no walls, no safety net. I'm not taking anything from you. You gave this up when you threw me away. You've made your point, Dad snapped. But we're still your family. Then act like it, I shot back. And acting like family doesn't mean showing up uninvited and making everything about you. It means giving without expecting something in return. You haven't done that once. We stood there in tense silence. Then I added, if you come here again without me asking, I'll have to involve the police. That's not a threat. It's a boundary. I turned and walked inside. Luke followed. I didn't cry until I was sitting on the couch, his hand resting gently over mine. I hate that they're doing this now, I whispered. I should be happy. This should be a peaceful time. He kissed my forehead. They don't get to decide your peace anymore. And he was right. The next day, I got another message, just a short one from my mom. We only wanted to be part of your life again. I didn't know how else to show you. I'm sorry. I didn't respond. Because part of healing isn't just getting an apology. It's choosing what you do with it. And I was choosing to protect the life I was building. 3 months passed. My belly rounded. The nursery took shape. Luke painted the walls a warm, sunlit yellow, and I cried when we unpacked the crib. It wasn't sadness, it was peace. For once, we were building something that wasn't shadowed by expectations or control. The silence from my parents held. No calls. No knocks. Just the occasional update through extended family. I knew they were waiting. Hoping I'd eventually reach out. But I didn't. Then, one quiet Thursday morning, my phone rang. It was a number I hadn't saved but recognized instantly. My parents' lawyer. The same man who had once called to confirm that I'd been removed from the family's estate. Rachel, he said, his tone unusually soft. I've been instructed to inform you that your parents have amended their will. You're back in it. I blinked. Excuse me? He repeated it. Slowly. Clearly. They had restored me as a beneficiary. Full share. Equal rights. I thanked him, hung up, and stared at the crib. It wasn't the money. I didn't care about that. But it was the message underneath, the unspoken hope that maybe, just maybe, this would be the gesture that brought them back in. Later that night, I told Luke. He listened quietly. Then said, they still don't get it. And he was right. Again. Because forgiveness isn't something you earn with legal documents or inheritance clauses. It's not about what you restore on paper. It's about what you're willing to rebuild in real life. So we talked. 4 hours. About what it would mean if we ever allowed them back in. And we made a list. Not of demands, but of boundaries. Terms. Real ones. No unannounced visits. Ever. No involvement in our child's life until we say so. A direct, personal apology to both me and Luke, no deflections, no justifications. Respect for our decisions, even if they don't align with theirs. A week later, I sent them a letter. Not an olive branch. Not a white flag. Just a clear message. We are open to the idea of reconnecting, but only under specific conditions. This is not an invitation. It's a door that might be unlocked if you show us you're capable of change. They didn't respond immediately. And honestly, that was okay. Because the most important part wasn't what they'd do next. It was that, for the first time in my life, I wasn't waiting on them. I wasn't craving their love or hoping they'd come around. I had Luke. I had our home. I had the little heartbeat growing stronger inside me every day. And I had peace. If they came back on our terms, great. If they didn't, we'd be just fine. Because forgiveness is a gift. And sometimes, the healthiest thing you can do is not give it away too easily.